All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Get to the podcast!
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
Podcast.
and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
And this is a Spike Lee joint.
This is a Get to the Podcast joint.
Doesn't sound as good.
It's a Diego, Nick, and Neil joint. It's a TNN joint.
It doesn't. No.
It's a TNN joint.
No, it just,
We are
Spike
smoking
Lee.
natural tobacco in this joint, so
Yeah.
you know it's a rolled.
Yeah, it's a rolled
tobacco.
joint. Well, most joints are rolled. Have you ever smoked a joint that had a filter?
No, but I know that you can buy filters.
And
for-
he just
for rolled
admitted to it.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Who, me?
Oh yeah, him. He used to work
you?
at Dunkin' Donuts. Come on.
Did you?
No, I've never smoked.
What? I've never worked.
I've smoked
I
cigarettes.
worked at Domino's, not Dunkin' Donuts.
I'll admit it for the podcast right now. I have never smoked drugs. I have never
Smoked
snorted the
drugs.
cocaine. I have never done the alcohol. No, I've done the
He's
alcohol.
just fucking naturally out there.
No, I've never done
I
drugs.
puffed,
I don't-
but I did not inhale. This
I'm
guy,
like, fucking bullshit,
Bill
Bill.
Clinton over here.
So you smoke cigars.
I'm like, just lie well, please. Like, that's bullshit. Anyway.
Neil's like, I have smoked, but it was on a legal state.
Nah, because it was back in the day. Like, it wasn't legal anywhere back then.
I actually.
Moving
Oh,
on.
he done broken the law.
Who has it, right? Who has it?
I haven't.
I actually
Are
have
you
never.
kidding me?
Literally the
I
last
have never
podcast.
smoked.
we talked
Everyone's
about.
broken the law.
Everybody's broken a law.
I have never broken a law. Isn't
Many
that crazy?
laws.
Biggest
Many
bullshit.
I'm
laws.
proud of it.
That
You-
is
proud of
you
it.
You're
have.
so full of
You
shit.
have. You're so full of
Oh,
shit.
So full of
Keep
shit.
pushing me. I'm
I'm
gonna
sorry.
break a law in a second.
Remember the last podcast? Remember the TV?
Oh yeah, where you
Yeah,
stole-
bitch.
Yeah, let's get off that subject.
Yeah. I've never broken a law.
I don't want to incriminate other parties involved.
This is literally like 30 minutes ago. He told us
This
about
is
how
gonna
he
be an
stole some
ongoing.
shit.
This is
No,
gonna be
this
an
is-
ongoing fucking theme, just trying to get me to tell the story.
This is literally last week.
Yeah.
No, because if I tell
Last
that
week.
story, I'm gonna have to tell other stories,
Yeah.
and then there's gonna be like, y'all want to see a dead body? It's gonna be crazy.
We
right.
don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No, we don't.
it's dark.
But what do we
dark and
talk?
scary.
Yeah, what do we talk about in this episode, guys?
Nick, why did you stab that person? They wouldn't change the channel.
They wouldn't change the channel.
Oh wow.
Okay,
All
we're
right.
talking about, and the reason why we're talking about a joint, Spike Lee joint, is we're going to be talking about Spike Lee in this episode. We're going to talk about his career. He just dropped the trailer for the new BlacKkKlansman movie, which looks really good. If you haven't seen the preview or the trailer to this, go check it out.
Yeah.
I guess it's based on a true story about a black FBI agent, cop, whatever, who infiltrates the KKK and impersonates a KKK member. How he goes about doing that, just watch the trailer and you'll see.
I'm sorry, that just tells me how stupid KKK is.
I know, right?
I mean, really?
I know.
Can.
Well, no, because he sends a white guy in there to represent him
What's that?
physically, but he communicates with them over the
The,
phone.
the Caucasian character is actually was based on a Jewish guy. It was a Jewish guy.
He's Jewish,
and-
yeah. In the trailer, he's a Jewish guy. It's, Adam Driver plays him.
Yeah.
It looks really good. It got like a standing ovation at Cannes Film Festival. It looks like it's gonna be Spike Lee's best film in years, and we're gonna be talking about his career because Spike Lee's got some real. I mean, he's directed a shitload of films, and he's got some great ones. Like honestly,
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. What's his name that did a skit where he was the head of the KKK?
Oh yeah, it's Dave Chappelle.
Dave
It wasn't the KKK, but he was a white supremacist.
Yeah.
He's a blind white
Yeah.
supremacist black guy.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the white supremacist movement. He wrote the books,
Oh
and
my
then he
God.
finally goes to the
Amazing.
rally, and he's gonna like present himself for the first time, and he
I'm
gets
gonna
up
show
there.
my face.
I'm gonna show my
I'm showing my face
He
for the
hates
first time.
He hates black people, but he's black. It's fun. It's very funny.
Oh my gosh, that's
Dave
hilarious.
Chappelle has some funny concepts.
Oh my god, he does. Anyway, back to
All right, so Spike Lee. So we're going to just basically do a kind of
this is-
freewheeling talk about Spike Lee, but I think we should start with his earlier films and kind of move chronologically, generally chronologically
Just
on the
a little
timeline.
note: Jordan Peele produced
BlacKkKlansman, yeah, it's noted in the film. Yeah, it's Jordan Peele and Spike Lee.
Wow.
Speaking of, Jordan Peele also did drop what his next movie is going to be. We don't really know much about it, but he dropped like a poster for it. It's called Us.
Yeah.
That's all we know. It's just not much, but it's Should be
Sounds
interesting.
incredible.
Yeah. Sounds great. Anyway, so let's talk Spike
I'm sure
Lee.
it'll be entertaining.
Yes. Let's talk Spike Lee. I think if we're going to talk about him, we need to start with, if you go on IMDb, you'll see
Now, have
other
you guys
things
seen
before that.
all
He
of
did
his
some
films?
I've seen a lot of his films. I have not seen all of his films, but I did see his first real feature film, which is She's Gotta Have It.
Okay.
Which I think is on Netflix right now, streaming, so you can watch it. It's very much an indie film. Spike Lee is definitely an indie director. You know, he's always been funded by, kind of outside the studio system. And She's Gotta Have It. I can't tell you exactly how he went about doing this film. I don't really know the history of it, but I do know it's from '86, and it's a black and white film, very stripped down.
Yeah.
And it's about this girl who's effectively like a nymphomaniac. They actually they're doing a show. There's a Netflix series, which is a reboot.
Yeah.
Called She's Gotta Have It.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
wow.
It's out right now on Netflix. You may have seen it being advertised, but it's actually.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're
It's a
talking about.
reboot of the She's Gotta Have It movie from '86. This girl, Nola Darling, and she basically. It's very kind of progressive, and it's kind of female empowerment in a way. Like, she very much knows what she wants. She's a bit of a nympho, but she's literally dating several guys at once, but she's not hiding it.
Right.
Like, they know about each other. She ends up, there's even a scene where they kind of have dinner. They all have dinner together, and they're all kind of vying for her attention because they want her. Like, they're in love with her. And one of them is played by Spike Lee, and he's kind of the nerdy one. Then you have the vain guy who's like a model. And then you have the other guy who's, whatever he is. So it's very just kind of, it's very indie. So it's hard to even go, oh, here's what happens beat for beat. It's sort of like you got to watch, it's how the whole story, follows through from beginning to end with regard to her and these three guys.
Yeah.
It's very, it's got those elements. Like, if you've ever seen Do the Right Thing, some of Spike Lee's early films, it's got a lot of those interesting camera angles. Where they kind of zoom in real quick, or they do this kind of thing on he
has that one thing that he does where like the camera or the actor will be fixed and then like the camera's like
POV.
moving.
He's
They're
a lot
just
of-
sitting still, and it's almost like what's happening to this person's mind or
Exactly.
something.
So they do that kind of stuff. It's really interesting. It's not like the acting is stellar. It's kind of like that thing you could forgive on these earlier indie films from like the 80s and 90s, where sometimes the acting is not phenomenal, but like the writing's really good.
Yeah.
And the acting is fine. Like, it's fine, but it's not great.
Yeah.
And it's got a little bit of that. But it's good. Like, it's a really interesting film. There's a lot of breaking the fourth wall, talking to the camera. We're kind of almost narrating. Like, there's narration over the film.
Yeah.
And then there's narration from
the main
breaking the
actors,
fourth
yeah.
wall.
It's interesting, like making a film like that back then
Yeah.
versus making being like an independent filmmaker today. Like, I feel like today's easier, but there's so much saturation, it's hard to get noticed. And back
Right.
then, it would have been harder. I get the impression it would have been harder to make a
definitely.
film, but easier to get potentially noticed
Because there
it
was
a
less
smaller
content being created.
Yeah, there was less content.
Correct, yeah.
Like, if you had something and they needed to have something in the theaters, they were like, well,
Yeah.
what do you got?
Yeah,
You know?
no, totally.
But now it's like, these guys are getting swamped with shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you make a film and post it on YouTube.
Six
it's
other
like,
people came out with it.
Yeah, you got to get like 10 million views before somebody
Right.
takes it serious.
And I haven't looked at the the revenue that not do the right thing. She's Gotta Have It pulled in. I don't get the idea that it did a lot of business.
It may
but
have
it allowed
furthered
him
his career,
Exactly, it allowed him to then do the right thing, which was his real kind of breakout. I'm pretty sure that one was pretty successful. You guys have seen Do the Right Thing, right? I mean, he did School Days, which I don't.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, Do the Right Thing, 89. This is the one. It had like Public Enemy soundtrack. So it had like Fight the Power was done for the movie.
Yeah.
And Spike Lee also directed the music video to that. So Public Enemy was like blowing up at the time. They were huge.
Yeah.
And so they did Fight the Power for this film. And this film all takes place in Brooklyn on one hot day in the summer. And it's like a cast of characters. It's an ensemble piece. There's no real lead character. Spike Lee, again, is in the movie like he was in School Days. And She's Gotta Have It. And
He did the same thing that he did at the other film.
yeah, he did the Malcolm X. You know, I haven't really seen him in a lot of his own films in the last 20 years, but like early on, he was playing a lot of characters.
Yeah.
And Do the Right Thing. In that one, he plays like a pizza delivery boy. You got
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, right. He's got in that movie, he's got Rosie Perez, Danny Aiello, John Turturro's in that.
Yeah.
There's a lot. What's his face? what's her name? Ruby Dee and her husband Ozzie Davis is in it. They were also in Jungle Fever later on. But it's got all this like Robin Harris, who did Bebe's Kids and was in House Party and everything like that. He died like a year or two later.
Wow.
Like he's in it. Like so, it's just so many people packed into this movie. It's all in this one day, and it's crazy. It's really interesting because it's following all these subplots, but it all comes to a head at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Danny Aiello runs a pizza shop, so he's one of the only white people in the film, and his son John Turturro, and they're kind of racist. John Turturro is really the racist.
Yeah.
He'll use the
It's
N-word
like
and all
Friday.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
It takes place in a small community, and then
it's like
one
that
day.
exactly. But
It's all in this ethnic.
and it's done very indie, and he does a lot of really interesting things in that film. Like if you know any of those early films, it's kind of very Spike Lee-ish. There's like that scene with Radio Raheem, who goes around with that big boombox on his shoulder.
Yeah.
the actor who played him actually just died within like the last year, but he's got those knuckle rings or whatever, like that straight where it
Those
says
big,
love on one hand and hate on the other hand.
Each
And-
ring is
and-
a letter. Yeah.
Yeah, it's doing this thing where Spike Lee stops in front of him and goes, "What's up, Raheem?" And they're like talking, and then he goes, "Yo, what's up with those rings?" And he's about to give his monologue, so the camera kind of pivots over to Spike Lee and assumes Spike Lee's viewpoint, and then all of a sudden it's a POV from Spike Lee, but it does it all in frame, like it doesn't cut it to a POV from Spike Lee. It moves, and it's like you get this idea to execute that properly. Spike Lee had to step back and let the camera get in his position.
Right.
And then as a POV, and then Radio Raheem starts speaking to the camera, and he does this whole kind of monologue about love and hate. He goes, you're getting in there, and hate is beating you down with the right hand, right? And you think, oh, you're done for, you're out for the count. And then all of a sudden, love comes in and starts beating you on the, it's this whole kind of interesting monologue.
He knew how to use like low budget as a high quality
Yes.
entity.
Yeah.
And it was just incredible. Like just to do that today, you would think like, oh, what kind of stabilizer or what he just knew how to use those things with like what he had.
Right.
He knew how to
Yeah.
make it happen. He was like, nah, make this low budget move look high quality. And he did that. It was so incredible. Everything in his films.
Yeah.
And he's one of those directors that fall into that category of writer and director,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
He writes
which is
all his own
not
films,
like
pretty much.
super
Yeah.
common, to
No,
be
it's
honest
not.
with you. It's like there's many directors that are great directors. Like Steven Spielberg is an incredible fucking director.
He's got like 2 writing credits, 3
yeah,
writing credits.
doesn't write
AI and like.
But even that, it was probably like a treatment on an existing fantastic story. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Right.
like maybe he altered it so it would be better adapted to
Well,
film.
he had a
but-
treatment. He had like a 30-page treatment or whatever, and he wrote the script for that.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
from
he
Stanley
comes
Kubrick.
up like based on what I know about Spielberg, like for many of his films, like he'll come up with things like on the fly, like on the set that
Yeah.
day. He'll
And
be
he'll
like, "Oh,
craft
say
it
this
from
thing,"
before
and
the
it'll be
screenplay.
like the most memorable thing in the film.
Yeah,
you know?
he's
So-
crafting the overall story, but he may not be necessarily sitting down and.
I'm not trying to throw him under the bus. I'm just
typing the script.
saying, like,
but
he
the whole
doesn't
point
write
is
original
Spike Lee,
stories,
Right,
yeah.
Spike Lee is writing the script from his head,
Yeah.
and then going and casting it, and then producing it and directing the thing, and then
Yeah.
the editing process afterwards.
like Robert Rodriguez and some of these other
Exactly.
directors. and it
Quentin
makes him
Tarantino.
unique.
Quentin Tarantino
Quentin
writes all his own
Tarantino.
films. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very much a writer too, and I believe Spike Lee was right out of film school. I think he went to NYU because he's like a professor at NYU now, teaches film there.
Oh, I didn't
You
know
can
that.
audit his classes even. You
Wow.
can go to NYU and audit his some of his film classes.
Yeah.
and I think he actually went to NYU. So you get the idea that these early films were definitely kind of a film student. Like I think she's got to have
Yeah.
it. It almost comes across as a student film. In a way, but then his skill in every film kind of just elevated from She's Gotta Have It to School Days to Do the Right Thing, then Jungle Fever. Have you guys ever seen Jungle
Oh
Fever?
yeah.
I love that movie. I think that's I like Do the Right Thing a lot, but I actually even like Jungle Fever even more. It's the story of Wesley Snipes is in it, and he ends up
Did he direct that?
Spike Lee did, yeah. Jungle Fever is Spike Lee. And he
wrote and directed it.
Yeah, he wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
And it's the story of Wesley Snipes, who's obviously a black guy who links up with this Italian, like this white girl. And that's what Jungle Fever is. It's a black guy and a white girl getting
It's,
together, and it's like both their
Annabella Scicarra.
yeah, very pretty girl. I like.
She was in What Dreams May Come. She's been in a bunch of films.
That's right. But that specific movie, like I love. It's about like each of their sides, like their family, their friends, the worlds they come from don't understand the union at all, and it's almost has to be done on the sly.
It's like Romeo and Juliet. Except
yeah,
they're both white.
kind of. I mean, kind of. Yeah,
If
but
they were of different races, but they're of different families.
right,
so,
which is practically the same thing in the way that Romeo and Juliet plays out.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about this film is, yes, I love Wesley Snipes. I love that whole main story. But his brother, played by Samuel L. Jackson, plays a crackhead. And
Oh yeah.
he is fantastic in it. If he wasn't nominated for an Oscar for that film, I don't know. But this is one of Samuel L. Jackson's best performances.
Yeah.
As the crackhead brother to Wesley Snipes. And
Didn't he get shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay,
remember.
we're gonna spoil this a little bit, but like there's a
Hey,
scene.
if you haven't seen it,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost
Came
30
out in
years old.
1991.
1991. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost 30 years old at this point. And the parents, Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee, who were actually married in real life. Ozzie Davis did like the eulogy at Malcolm X's funeral. Like these guys
Yeah.
have been around. They were also in Do the Right Thing, but they play husband and wife and the father and mother to Samuel L. Jackson, Wesley Snipes in this film. And he's like a Bible thumping like father. Like he's very strict and so on. He's got this crackhead son played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And there's a scene at the end where he ends up shooting Samuel L. Jackson. It's fucking insane. It's a crazy movie.
Yeah.
But it's really I love the way it was executed. I love the heart in the film.
Yeah.
And it really elevates beyond these earlier ones, which had a bit of that student film kind of quality to them, in my opinion. And they're very indie and they were good, but they this kind of brought it out of that realm.
yeah, but still, even to say he had that student-ish feel to his film.
Yeah.
Like I said, he used things. This is why he came out of it and started doing, being able to get funded for his film. So it's because he knew how to use everything and make it feel high quality.
Yeah.
And he made the films
Definitely.
like seem like it wasn't a low budget film.
Yeah.
It was just unique and new. And that's just, that just shows what type of person he was and the type
Totally.
of skill that he has
Right.
in making films. So.
But by the time I think there was like this trilogy of films, in my opinion, I think of them that way, which was Mo Better Blues, which I think was it was 1990. Then you had Jungle Fever 91, and then you had Malcolm X 92.
Which is crazy
That's
because that's
fucking-
like
At first, that's a movie a year.
for Denzel Washington. Well, Malcolm X was I feel like that was me really getting Spike Lee.
Yes.
Like in his film style.
I think it's
and
his
all
greatest
that.
film
And
that he's ever made.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Like I watched that. My uncle was like, "You got to watch this movie. You got to watch." And he said it for like a year, and then finally I was like, "Fine, we'll sit down and watch it."
It's nearly 4 hours long.
And oh my god, it didn't phase me at all. Like
Nope.
the time, like it was, and it's such an incredible.
Yeah.
I just didn't know enough about Malcolm X to like really appreciate,
Yeah.
him in history and all that. But it's an incredible.
I think it's one of the
story.
best biopics ever done. Like
Yeah.
that movie is masterfully handled, and this is after his string of films. She got to have his school days, Do the Right Thing.
It's such a huge film. From going from what Do the Right Thing to that.
Just a few
is,
years
like,
earlier.
Crazy.
Yeah, Do the Right
It's the
Thing
next
was
year.
3
It was
years.
92.
Yeah, 3 years earlier from Do the Right. Do the Right Thing was 89. Then you had Mo Better Blues in 90. Then you had
Oh,
Jungle Fever
Jungle
91.
Fever,
And then
yeah.
Malcolm X in 92. Like, how did he even find the time to do a 4-hour movie like Malcolm X?
And it was Denzel who I think prior to that he had only. I mean, he had done like a string of like
He was already an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
From Glory, and
That's what it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was in Mo Better Blues,
Yeah.
which was done there. Yeah, so this was like his second movie with Spike Lee, but it is so good. He doesn't even like it's one of those movies where it's like you can go, oh, let's make sure we make it a 2-hour movie so that we can get more ticket sales. That wasn't done at all. There was no compromise. Like he doesn't even become Malcolm X until almost 2 hours into the film, like an hour and a half into the film.
Yeah.
It's his whole history as what was his name? Little. Was it Malcolm Little? His real name? I think it's Malcolm Little.
Yeah.
But like it's not Malcolm. Is it Malcolm? Jeez, I'm forgetting. Anyways, it's literally because he was
born Malcolm Little.
Malcolm Little. Okay, so he's Malcolm Little. So it's really the story of him like growing up,
Well,
and
you
then
can,
like he was
you
a
have
pimp.
to tell it that way.
Yeah, he was
you
a
have
pimp.
to tell his past.
You
or
really do, but you
how
could
he became Malcolm X.
exactly. But it's like you spend almost an entire movie getting to Malcolm X, and then you spend an entire movie length worth of time
And
telling
then
the
his
story of him as
assassination.
Malcolm X, and then his assassination. Him going to Mecca, and then realizing that he's effectively become a racist.
Yeah.
And then coming back being like, I realized I was, being a racist, like at that press conference where he's like, I'm not a racist.
Right.
He's like, I'm not a racist. And he went there and he drank out of the same cup and washed the feet with, white people and Chinese people and black people and realized that this was the source of like Islam. Like this was Islam and
Yeah.
it wasn't about skin color. And he had, in his had his mind effectively, how he describes it, poisoned.
It was more of an
believe-
American thing where there's
Exactly.
heavy racism in America.
That's
at the
right.
time. Yeah.
It's very fascinating the way it's told, though, like all the way up to the assassination, and Denzel does an amazing job
Yeah.
as
So
Malcolm
the
X.
He didn't
movie
win or
was
he got
did?
nominated.
So the
He got
movie,
nominated, which is so crazy. I'm like, I want to see what actor actually won
I
in
think that was the
category.
year that I think Al Pacino won for Scent of a Woman.
so Malcolm X was
Incredible,
almost
though.
not
He was
made.
incredible in that film.
I don't know, man.
So it was almost
He
not
was,
made
he was,
because of the controversy between Spike Lee and Warner Brothers.
Yeah, they
But
wouldn't
because-
finish filming the movie at the
Yeah.
end, funding it.
And it only
They didn't have
because
money.
Bill
Bill
Cosby,
Cosby,
Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Jordan
Jordan.
jumped in
Yeah.
to save the film.
Wow.
Because it was made. That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, literally,
it's just-
because he wanted to film
You
that
mean
whole
only
scene.
Oprah Winfrey and Michael Jordan? Who's this Bill?
Who's this
Cosby
Bill
person? He's
Cosby
being
guy?
stripped from the history books. Apparently,
that was the one good thing that this man did.
No,
He
he
did
did
a
a
lot
lot.
of- he did a lot
That's
of
the
good
thing. It's the
things.
Dave Chappelle thing. He's like he raped, but he also saved, but he probably raped. Like
Yeah.
it's weird.
Was he trying to equalize?
No, he's just telling the whole
a
story about
stand-up.
it's like it's
And
like
Dave
it's
Chappelle
weird to
stand-up.
be like, you can't then say all those things were actually bad because they were good, but he was apparently also a monster. It's weird. It's a very they're
a
probably
weird
going
scenario.
to be talking about that for a very long time. The dichotomy of people. It's like the good and the evil in one person.
Yeah.
But Malcolm X, the thing was he wanted to actually go to Mecca, and they wanted him to fake it. The studios wanted him to not actually go to Mecca to film.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to actually go there to film it. Like, we're not going to just fake it in some
Yeah.
desert in Arizona or California, or,
Oh, and they didn't want to pay to send the whole crew
that's right,
over.
because it was a
Yep.
lot of money,
Yeah.
to get him there. And so he basically called up some of these prominent black, African American entertainers, and they, like, without question, just forked over the money to help finish filming the movie. And he's like, it wouldn't have been made without them. It was like a down to the wire. They weren't going to fucking pay it. And then these guys just stepped up, which is awesome. And the movie just came out. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. And I think that's his best film. That was 1992. And it's amazing that he made like a film a year and culminated, in that film, like in 1992, 4-hour fucking film. And it's so much going on in that movie.
It's one of those films that feels that way. It feels like it was a struggle to make, but it was like it had to be made.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like some films, where like a director comes in and they have like an unlimited budget, and unlimited time, and it feels like, not that it's lazy or something, but there was no necessity to like really push the envelope. And then
Right.
with films like this, they just stand out. That director was on like a limited budget, a
Yep.
limited schedule. They were struggling to make this film. And they were like figuring out as they were laying the track,
Right.
as the train's going
Right.
down the fucking track, and like
Right.
you feel it in the film, and it's like, it's great.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it.
Really, honestly, I'm two movies came out that year that were, one wasn't really a biopic necessarily, but there was two movies that came out that year, JFK and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
That were in
Both
that vein.
incredible.
Incredible. Both completely different. One done by Oliver Stone and one done by Spike Lee.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen either of those, watch them. But definitely see
Both
Malcolm
of those
X.
would be in like my top.
It's always hard when you get into this. That's why I just say top 50.
I was gonna say top 10, but definitely top 20.
Yeah.
Because I know JFK is in like my top 5 probably.
What?
That's hard though. Then you start
Really?
thinking, and then you start thinking, you're like, shit. No, JFK's that good.
No, I've
No,
watched
it
it.
is
I've
good.
watched it
JFK
so many
very good.
times.
I watched that
JFK
movie at least
is
15 times.
Very good.
And I'm not even
I've
like a
watched
big
lot.
JFK, like, whatever. Like as far as like the president and all that, but
The
that
way
film,
it's
the
filmed?
way that movie is filmed, and like
Again,
all
a very complicated film
way-
with all the little like
Yeah.
actual footage they drop in.
the
and
constant, cutting
the
back and
exposition
forth.
that doesn't feel like exposition somehow. Like JFK.
Even the
is
reenactment,
incredible.
I thought was like,
Oh.
all
JFK
great.
or
The
American
flashbacks and
Gangster?
stuff. JFK.
What, in terms of like which one's better?
JFK.
I love American Gangster, but JFK is a better
American
film. than
Gangster is a good
American
movie.
I love
but
American Gangster.
JFK is
No, JFK is
It's like a
better
masterpiece.
film. It really is. I
It's
think
3 hours or something, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty long.
It's very long too. Yeah, if you were to comparing those two, I have to take JFK. But American
Okay.
Gangster is really good. American Gangster is a little bit more, not studio involved, but like a little bit more Hollywooded, slightly. JFK is not pandering to anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's crazy the amount of
JFK
details they
almost
hold.
feels like, how did this movie get made?
Yeah, it feels like that.
Like
It
this
feels
movie
like
should have
that.
been censored as fuck.
Even more
and
so than
it's
Malcolm
like-
X. Like Malcolm X is phenomenal, but JFK is even more offbeat than that.
Yeah,
It's
like how did Oliver Stone like say the things he says in this movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's based on an actual book by the
Yeah.
actual guy that Kevin Costner's character plays, but I'm
Jim
like,
Garrison.
how did he like make this
through
without
it.
all the
Right,
controversy
right.
associated
But
with
Malcolm
it?
X.
Yeah.
It's like literally that film came out, and
Yeah.
then Congress held meetings to discuss when they were going to release the JFK files, which they've still not released.
Yeah.
Fucking
I know,
Trump
it's
like
great.
signed him back up. He said he was going to release them, and he's like, nah, I'll lock him back up for another 20 years. Anyway,
That's
But-
cool.
don't get me started.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. All right, but Malcolm X, going back onto Spike Lee, Malcolm X
Yeah.
though were released in the same year, and very different film, but equally just powerful.
Yeah.
And fantastic. So if you haven't seen that, definitely see that. And then he seemed to like he stopped making like a movie a year. It seemed after that. It started spreading out to like every year or two. Well, I guess not really. I guess he did another one 2 years later. He did Crooklyn in '94,
Yeah.
which I haven't seen that since it came out, but I remember really liking it.
It was really good. It's actually rated of one of his better films.
Yeah, I really liked it when it came out. I saw it when it came out on VHS
Yeah.
back in the day. And I remember going, oh, this is a good fucking film. And then he got more into, I remember after that he did Clockers, which had
Yeah.
Harvey Keitel, John Turturro, and so on, and was more of like a kind of crime-based film, I believe. Again, I haven't seen that since it came out, but I remember liking that one too.
Yeah.
And then I remember Girl 6. I remember that came out,
Summer
and that
of
was
Sam.
like kind of
I
a
didn't know
shooter
he had
call.
directed a bunch of Michael Jackson music videos.
Yeah, and
Wow.
Naughty by
He
Nature.
did Summer
yeah.
Sam after
Yeah.
that, right?
No, he did. He Got Game. Do you remember He Got Game?
Oh, yeah,
In
with Denzel
98?
Washington.
Denzel Washington and the basketball player, his son, Rosario Dawson's in that. Mila Jovovich is in that one. You ever seen He Got Game? Neil?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, so he plays his son is Jesus, and
Yeah.
Denzel Washington plays like an ex-con or
Con
whatever,
man,
and
yeah.
he doesn't really have a relationship with his son. He's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that one's fantastic.
It was
That's
a
a
great-
really
oh,
good
yeah.
movie. That's very kind of that feels darker than his earlier movies, and just in the way it feels a little dirtier and darker.
Yeah.
That's how I always felt about that movie. I don't know what it is about it, but something about it feels a little bit edgier. But yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
And
because
then-
it was a lot more real. It
Right.
was a lot more.
That's how it felt.
yeah.
There's something about it felt a little less, not movie wise. It just felt I felt a little more unsettled by it, and I don't know what it was in that film. I think it just had darker elements to it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just
I
how
know
I
what you're
felt.
saying.
Yeah.
But I feel like in many ways that's Spike Lee. Like he's able to make a film that feels like it's not Hollywood's idea of how
Yeah.
life is with the
Right.
normal person, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
a normal middle class, whatever, or even
Right.
somebody that's struggling in life with a drug addiction or, you know, whatever.
Right.
Like he's able to tell that story without it feeling fake or forced.
Right.
you know?
Yeah, definitely. And then after that's when he got into what I would consider his first kind of
Horror.
I don't know, it's
Thriller.
horror. Yeah, it just kind of got out of what you would consider a Spike Lee film.
Which was Summer of Sam.
Summer of Sam, which is the one you're referring to.
Which
John
was a freaking-
Leguizamo. It
yeah.
basically takes place during the summer in the 70s where the son of Sam was going around killing
Yeah.
people because his dog told him to. Did you ever see Summer of Sam?
No, I've never seen
It's
it.
a great fucking film.
So you know Son of Sam, right? The serial killer who was going around.
I mean, I've heard of the movie. I know that it's like about.
But you know who the
Killer.
Son of Sam is what I'm
No.
saying. Son of Sam was a serial killer in the, I think, late 70s in New York who was going around killing people. Like there would be couples in cars and he'd go just with a revolver and just pop them, shoot them. And and it was one thing to be like, oh, he killed one or two people. No, he just kept doing it. And they finally caught this guy. He's still in prison today, and he's completely reformed and doesn't want to leave prison because he's like he's like found Jesus and doesn't even recognize himself anymore. I watched this recent interview with him, and he's like, I do not want to leave fucking prison, and he's there helping reform people. He's found Jesus or whatever, and he's not crazy anymore the way he sounds. Back then, he says he was going nuts, and he basically said his dog was telling him to kill, or his neighbor's dog would bark. And he would just get this idea, like it was like go kill people. Like it would tell him to go kill people. But the movie is not about Son of Sam; it's about the Summer of Sam. So the main guy is played by John Leguizamo, and it basically happens, and his life kind of parallels, and he's in that area, and he has like friends who get killed by Son of Sam. So it's called the Summer of Sam. It takes place over that summer where all these killings were happening.
Yeah,
and it's really good though. It's a really good film. Spike Lee directed it, obviously, but it was the first film that felt, there was definitely Spike Lee elements to it, but it didn't feel like he was doing all these more kind of like, I don't know, black-centric, whatever, inner city, Brooklyn kind of ones. And this is kind of the same thing, but it felt different. And it was
like
also...
he stepped out of like his...
wheelhouse almost.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
felt
He
different.
wanted to do something different. Yeah,
I guess Malcolm X was a bit different, but this one really did feel different. Kind of like how later on he did Inside Man. Like that was very different from a normal Spike Lee movie. Even though it had Denzel Washington, who'd done a bunch of movies with him, it felt different.
Yeah. I liked Inside Man a lot.
Yeah, I think we can even jump to that one. I mean, he did like 25th Hour, which we talked about I think, before. She Hate Me with Anthony Mackie. He did that one. So he's constantly like every few years he's always putting out a film that I think is memorable. But I think Inside Man, which was in 2006, is his most commercial movie, and I think his best on those kind of those films, which is just it's Clive Owen, Denzel Washington, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer's in that one, and it's the one with Chris Owens.
Clive Owen.
I'm like fucking. It's not Chris. Yeah, Clive Owens robs that bank and holds all those people hostage, and Denzel Washington plays the negotiator outside. And I just love the twists and turns that movie takes. Like it's not just your straight up heist film.
Yeah. Christopher Plummer's great. Like Jodie Foster's fantastic in it. It's like it's interesting because it feels like a Hollywood film, but then there's elements of like Spike Lee where you're like, there's a Spike Lee touch.
That what is that shot called? Maybe you know.
It's like a forced perspective or something, but he's actually moving.
The one where they're walking but like they have the camera on them.
Yeah, the camera's like attached to the body.
Like if this mic right here
you
was
see the body in still.
Yeah, it's like very.
But
they
the
did
background
it
is
in Amazing
no,
Spider-Man for like 2 seconds, which seemed really weird in that movie. But it's like if I took this camera and I attached it to my body, or like your phone when you're holding your phone.
Yeah.
And you're walking with it, and like that, it has a very specific look.
Yeah.
Spike Lee likes to use that, and he used that, I remember, in Inside Man.
He always does it with like the person like sitting still or something, like they're in a chair or something, and then they just start moving while everything else is happening around them. They're moving fixed through everything.
Yeah,
he does it in a bunch of films.
The body, the body rig with the...
Yeah, exactly. It happens in Inside Man after that hostage gets shot.
Yeah.
Not really, though, but like gets shot in the head, and then he like gets all fucking shocked and like gonna go throw up or whatever, and it does that thing, and it gets this idea that he's lost in his own world.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it communicates.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I thought Inside Man was fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that's
I don't really remember that film.
You don't want. I think that is a
I watched it a
rewatchable.
bunch.
I mean, it probably is. I probably need to watch it again, but I don't remember much about that.
Okay, I highly suggest watching it again. I think it's fantastic. Like the twists in it, the way it's executed, the characters. Clive Owen's fantastic. The whole story of why he's actually in the bank
I might have
unfold.
it.
Oh, really? You might own it.
I might have it on DVD.
Yeah, you should. If you have time today, I'd watch it again. I think
we should mention 25th Hour. I know we like briefly mentioned it, but that's a really interesting movie. Well, you probably remember more about it. I mean, there's stuff about the film I remember.
That's why I skipped over.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Then we should skip it.
I don't remember.
Did you guys see?
I remember there's this incredible monologue with what the hell's his name? Edward Norton.
Edward Norton.
Yeah, where he's like talking about New York City and living in New York and
right.
But I don't know. It's a very, very interesting film. I just can't remember enough about it.
Well, that's why I skipped over it.
But it's one of those movies like when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember thinking it was a great movie, but I don't remember what the fuck happened or what the premises and all that.
Right.
Do you guys remember Miracle in Santa Ana?
I do remember that. Yeah, it was a good movie.
I don't remember that. I don't think I saw that.
That was more of the. It was a very commercial film, but the story he was telling was like,
so black
centric about these like the fighters. They like flew the planes in World War II.
No.
No, you're thinking of the red.
You're thinking Red Squad.
What is that? Red Wings or red?
The one that was done by George Lucas.
Oh yeah.
This is about a group of military guys who were black in the war and what they went through.
World War II, yeah. In Italy.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It felt it was good. There was a lot of like, it was weird to see a Spike Lee film with like special effects, which threw me off. I don't know why, because I guess his films seem to be, like
very
I said
indie,
earlier, more indie and grounded. But
yeah,
there was a lot of like CG stuff. It was good. I mean, it wasn't bad. It just was like, I was like, oh, that's
right.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. It like fucked me up. You know what I mean? Like I don't. It's weird.
You're not used to
it was
it.
weird.
I
wasn't
remember
used to
seeing.
it.
I remember seeing it. And I remember, but it just wasn't that. It wasn't that Spike Lee film that you can go back to.
It was almost
and say,
family friendly. It didn't feel
Oh, one of those.
It didn't feel sharp. It felt very like you could watch it and understand what happened and understand these characters, but like kids, you know what I mean? Like kids could watch it. And
maybe that was his intention.
it
Was
was
based on a true
light.
story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe he wanted to make sure people saw it, so wanted to make it more palatable.
Yeah.
Because it had more of a
And he
message
didn't
or something.
write it. The screenplay was written by somebody else. The
Which I think was the
based on
same
novel.
with Inside Man. I don't think he wrote Inside Man.
No, he got hired to do something.
Yeah, which it comes across that way, just because it is a very different film.
Yeah.
But and then he did, it's interesting. He did a couple documentary things too for Michael Jackson. I mean, he did the This Is It
Bad
concert.
25?
Well,
Yeah.
well, first he did This Is It, which was the final concert when Michael Jackson died.
Which is great if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
is.
good.
Yeah, it is actually really good. It's the last footage. It's basically the behind
It's
the
him
scenes
training
footage
or
of
just-
him getting
yeah.
the concert series that he was supposed to do before he died.
Yeah.
He was trying to do 50 final concerts called This Is It in London, and he was going to do those, and then he was going to be done.
Yeah.
And he never got to do it because he died. This is the footage of him prepping for that concert.
Which is basically the concert. Yeah.
Yeah, basically
because
is.
it's
He has a
incredible.
lot of it.
He does.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It shows him rehearsing. It shows him doing
And
little.
You don't really get a lot of that, Michael.
Yeah.
Like the behind the scenes Michael,
Yeah.
seeing him interact with the other musicians and the other singers and the other
technicians even.
dancers and the technicians. It was really interesting to see
scanning
how
the beat for Beat It.
Yeah.
Like
how involved he was.
Yeah.
He didn't just show up on flying in a
Yeah.
plane the night of the concert and perform and
Yep.
everything is worked out. He's creating everything
Yeah.
himself.
It shows him selecting the dancers, the background dancers.
Yeah.
They go through thousands of dancers to find the ones that he wants.
When are they gonna do a Michael Jackson biopic, man?
I know. Well, they've done a few. They have done. No, they
Uh,
have.
it
They did a
is-
TV
it- I
movie in
think
the
it
late
needs its
90s.
time.
Yeah, I think they need to do it right.
I thought they did Jackson 5 one. I
No,
don't know
they did a Michael Jackson one
Oh,
in the
did
late
they?
90s. Yeah.
I think it
It wasn't.
time.
It was okay. Terrence Howard was in it as one of the brothers, and
Okay.
yeah. But This Is It. I actually saw Cirque du Soleil ended up doing these Michael Jackson shows. They did one in Vegas and they did one touring show. I actually saw both of them. They're both different from each other.
Yeah.
But the one I think that was touring was Immortal or maybe it's called This Is It. But anyways, it took this concert and it completed it. It actually did the Cirque du, they actually got all the musicians and dancers that were selected and were in the This Is It documentary and were going to be in the concert and everything like that. And they came on the touring show. And they used all the visuals that were going to be up on the screen during the concert, and they put those up there.
Yeah.
And it was all actually the This Is It concert, but Cirque du Soleil style. They had all these people coming through and doing all their crazy shit. So I got to see that, which was really awesome.
Oh, wow.
It was
Well-
it was a year after.
Where was it? Where did
It was
this
a
happen?
touring show. It was a touring
Oh,
Cirque du-
okay.
So I saw it in Long Island, in New York. It was a Cirque du Soleil touring show. Then they had a residence. They actually had a permanent show in Vegas for a while. It might still be there, and I saw that one as well, which was a totally different show.
Yeah.
But they were both Michael Jackson-esque. So they had the music, they had all the movements and dancing and costumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one in
Oh,
Vegas had
okay, I
had
remember
a
that.
sparkling glove that was like the
Like a
the
giant
thing,
hand?
no, it's like the thing from
Oh, so it was running
from
around?
Addams Family, yeah,
Yeah.
and it was like opening the curtain and shit like that, and
Wow.
it was kind of cool. And they were trying to capture it and get it, and
You know where I was pissed off is when Disney stopped showing the Michael Jackson film that they did in the ride.
Which one? Mr. Shit. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was an actual ride. I don't know if it was at Disney. I thought it was at Universal. Maybe it was at Disney.
I think it was at Disney.
Yeah, you're talking about the captain somebody.
Yeah, I forgot what it was called.
Anyway,
Anyways,
there was a ride, an actual
really?
interactive
Yeah.
ride, at the theme parks.
Oh,
and it was
interesting.
Michael Jackson. Was played the captain of the spaceship, and he had a crew. And
It
you
was
were,
really
oh
funny.
wow, yeah, I never even
it's
heard of
fucking
that.
phenomenal.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
really cool.
Right. Well, Spike Lee directed the documentary This Is It, but then he also did Bad 25 in 2012,
Yeah.
which I own that one. That's actually pretty good. It's a full documentary on the making of his Bad album. It was on the 25th anniversary
Yeah.
of Bad, which is great. I mean, that's the one that's got Man in the Mirror, Bad,
Yeah.
Smooth Criminal.
Gonna make a change
For
once in my
life.
It's gonna
feel
real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. Yeah, we should do that. We're gonna do
That was
that.
good. That was good.
on my favorite winter coat. Anyways, I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
Anyways, Bad 25 is a really good documentary kind of in the making of that film because everybody's talking about Thriller all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think Bad's a better album. And it was the second album he did or third album he did with Quincy Jones. And this is a
Correct.
full documentary kind of diving into that album. and how it worked and how they got all the songs together, and who wrote what, and how was they got all the original guys that were involved in that album together for interviews. It's really good. It's called Bad 25. So that was kind of his foray into documentaries.
Don't forget
Captain EO. That was
Captain
his name.
EO. That's what it was. Kings of Comedy.
Did he do that? I didn't.
Spike Lee did do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He did do that.
Okay, I haven't actually.
He did do that.
I
Where
don't know.
he followed
Cedric the Entertainer.
Cedric, Hewley. E.L. Hewley.
Oh, D.L.
Hewley.
Yeah.
Hewley. Steve Harvey and
Cat Williams?
Bertie Mac.
Oh, Bernie Mac. Yeah.
Bertie Mac. Yeah. Where it was a whole film about their tour, them going on tour and then doing their stand-ups, and it was actually really good.
Yeah.
It and had a lot of spin-offs off of that. More Kings of Comedy, the Spanish Kings of Comedy, whatever, all this stuff. So,
but it started with that one.
It started with that one. Yeah, that was Spike Lee.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Hilarious.
I didn't realize that at all.
Where is D.L. Hewley?
He's around. I've seen him, popping up here and there. I actually was in. I sat in the audience for the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and he came on that. I mean, that was years ago though. That's when Jon Stewart was still on. But other than that, he did Old Boy. He did the Old Boy remake.
Yeah,
which I actually didn't see that. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it yet.
I saw the original, but I haven't seen the new one. But with
you just
Josh
recently watched
Brolin.
the
I just
original.
I actually hadn't seen.
We should talk about that movie.
Oh my god, we gotta do that at some point. That movie.
Have you seen it, Old Boy?
Fucking. If you saw
the
Old
original.
Boy.
It's
I
Korean,
feel like you would,
Korean film.
Oh, okay. That horror film.
It's not a horror film.
Not horror.
It's dark though, but I feel like if you saw it, you wouldn't forget it.
It's more of a revenge action.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's violence
revenge.
and there's darkness to it, but the remake, I never saw it, but Spike Lee directed it with Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Elizabeth
Olsen.
Yeah, who were also both in the Avengers movies, by the way. He's Thanos and
They
she's
reunited.
Scarlet Witch. Yeah, they reunited. Oh man.
Samuel Jackson's in it.
Yeah.
And some other people.
Yep. But I haven't seen it, so there's not much I can say about that.
He's got a lot of stuff here.
He does a lot of stuff outside of
yeah.
movies. He does a lot of concert films. He did a one man show for John Leguizamo. He did Freak. He directs a lot of other
Girl
stuff.
6.
Yeah, he did. Well, I said that before. Yeah, Girl 6.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. I mentioned it really quick in passing.
I remember the short Kobe Bryant.
Which one? Not the most recent.
No,
but
it was like earlier. He did it earlier.
It looked like he did one just a few years ago.
Like 2006?
2009, yeah.
2009, yeah.
TV movie, Kobe Doing Work.
Yeah.
I never saw that.
That was actually interesting.
Yeah, I'm only skipping over the movies that I don't really know, I'll be honest. The Sweet Blood of Jesus, I remember when that came out. That was the first film he did where he crowdfunded it, which was The Sweet Blood of Jesus. I think he did it on either Kickstarter. I think he did it on Kickstarter. After Zach Braff had done that, he was like the first guy to kind of come out and crowdfund a movie. Then,
okay.
Yeah, Spike Lee kind of took a cue from that and then crowdfunded and kickstarted his own movie, which is The Sweet Blood of Jesus.
The first time I heard of any film being like major film being Kickstarter was Super Troopers 2, which has since come out.
Yeah, that's recent. Yeah, no, this is. I mean, The Sweet Blood
that was
of
on
Jesus
Indiegogo, not Kickstarter.
Right. Well, the first one that I remember being done was like 2012, 2013. Zach Braff did it after he'd done Garden State before, and he was doing kind of a new indie film, and then Spike Lee did. He wouldn't really say what the movie was about, but something about blood and vampires or something, and it ended up being called The Sweet Blood of Jesus, which I didn't see.
Yeah.
But it was. I remember being crowdfunded. I mean, it's got a 4.1 on IMDb, so I don't really know.
Oh. Okay.
But I remember he was offering like people like a tour through his studio.
Oh, it's literally DA Sweet Blood.
Yeah, the Sweet Blood of Jesus.
I thought you were saying just
Yeah, but he. I remember he did. He was offering up for like if you like donated $500, you can get like a tour through his studio and like kind of a day of kind of introduction
cool.
to the film.
Did you do it?
I was in New York.
You get to hang
and
out
I
with
was
Spike
so
Lee.
close to doing it because I was like, I just $500. I mean, I don't. You would have. It was going to be a group of people, and you'd be able to meet him and kind of like go around his studio and do all that stuff. And I was like, I just decided not to do it at the last moment.
Yeah.
But I was very.
You're
close
such
to
an
doing it.
asshole.
Well, that's true.
No, I'm just kidding.
But anyways, yeah. So other than that, I mean, he's done a bunch of other things, which I haven't seen his last couple of years worth of movies. But we did talk about this BlacKkKlansman one. I think we mentioned it even in the last episode for indie films coming up.
Yeah.
And we talked about it earlier with Adam Driver's in it. And it's just, I actually don't know who the main guy is. It's John David Washington. Where do I know him from? Holy shit, he was in Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading.
He was like a. Oh, that's interesting, Neil. The main guy in this BlacKkKlansman movie was played like this kid, like a student in a class or whatever, when he was like 8 years old or 6 years old in Malcolm X.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, now he's the main guy in Spike Lee's film BlacKkKlansman.
Which, not Adam Driver? Or...
No. It's like the main guy, John David Washington, the black guy who infiltrates, the KKK.
Oh, okay.
He's got a credit in Malcolm X as a student or whatever. Is that? Is that
It says he was in Book of Eli.
Was it? Yeah. Oh, he's the son of Denzel Washington. Oh shit, that's why.
Oh, John David.
Yeah, the main guy
Washington.
in BlacKkKlansman, Jade. Right when I saw that, I had to look. I was like, that might be Denzel Washington's son, which is why he was in Malcolm X.
He doesn't look like Denzel Washington, though.
I can see
a little bit. But the main guy in BlacKkKlansman is Denzel Washington's son. That's so interesting. Cool. I didn't know that. Anyways, BlacKkKlansman looks really good. So that's I'm excited for. That's probably the first time I've been excited for like a Spike Lee movie in several years.
Yeah.
Just the trailer just looks really good, and from the response it got at Cannes Film Festival, I think it might be pretty solid.
Wow.
It's got a lot of good people in it.
Yeah.
Topher Grace.
Yeah, Topher Grace. Apparently he does a really good job. He plays David Duke.
Yeah.
Like the grand fucking
Grand
Imperial
Master.
Wizard or Grand Master. Or
Grand
whatever.
Master.
Yeah, of the KKK. Topher Grace plays him.
Is the KKK a nonprofit?
Oh yeah, totally. They're a nonprofit.
I mean,
they do a lot good for
They
society.
have tax exemption, right?
No, I don't know. Maybe they're. I think they're listed as a hate group right now. I think. I think you can get nonprofit even as a hate group. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, for the longest time,
there's only like
there were like congressmen that were in the KKK.
They were like
yeah,
they were.
There
It
probably
was
still
really,
are congressmen.
There were
in the
like
KKK.
millions of members. It was very prominent. It's Christian.
Corey
It's a religious
Hawkins is
organization.
Yeah, but now there's like 20 and they're all rednecks. They're like there's
I don't
no
know.
prestige
I
connected
feel
with that
like
group
there's
at all.
got to be a lot left.
No, I think
though.
the membership's like 3,000 or something like
But
that.
they're like, there's like a lot of people that like aren't listed as members that are members. Come on, man.
I don't even care.
Why would you though? Because now it's just like a redneck group. There's no prestige connected with KKK. And back then there was, which is ridiculous. But there was a prestige connected with the KKK. They were considered like a,
like an elite
group.
that was trying to protect America.
Yes, American white Christian values.
Yes.
And it was, but
Protect America.
Yeah, but not anymore.
I
Like
think
that's
they lost
not how
all
it's
their
considered.
they lost all their members to the white supremacists.
No, now
That's
you
what
see
they
them
did.
on like Sally Jesse Raphael, and that's not really a show anymore.
Is there
it?
like a white supremacist
Jerry
problem?
Springer? A white supremacist problem?
I mean, that like
Yeah, I think it's in the White House.
No, not like that.
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh.
I mean, organizations like there's like everybody talks about the KKK because they've been around for so
Yeah.
long, but there's actually other organizations
There are
that
others,
much
absolutely.
bigger.
There's
that
it's
are
called
pushing the
certain
same
people's opinions.
like Hitler type
Right.
agenda.
Right.
They're
There's-
into
there's-
Hitler.
yeah.
Like the KKK wasn't pro Hitler.
Neo-Nazis. No, neo-Nazis are very... neo-Nazis
white
are a different
supremacists
thing.
are
Yeah,
like-
I was just watching John Mulaney's new
It's so
stand-up. and he
confusing.
goes-
I can't
he goes,
keep
"We
up
got
with all these
Nazis again?"
racists.
He goes, remember
I
when...
don't even keep up with it.
No, John Mulaney in his new stand-up, he talks about that. He's like, we got a Nazi problem again? Like, there's new Nazis? He's like, remember when you were a kid and you just like kind of been like, oh, he's being a Nazi about this, and this was like this allegory, this.
Yeah.
It was just used
So
as like
much
a
time
jokey
had passed.
thing.
It could be used as a joke.
Yeah,
you know,
don't
like
be a grammar
humorous.
Nazi, but like now there's Nazis again, so you have to worry
Soup
about that being an
Nazi.
actual problem.
No soup for you.
No soup for you. Anyways, yeah. So, but the BlacKkKlansman looks really good.
Yeah. Corey Hawkins.
Oh yeah, he's in it. That's
He's
right.
in
Yeah,
it,
Corey
yeah.
Hawkins
He was in,
from
Kong.
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight
Oh
up from
yeah.
Kong.
Wait, is
He's
it
good.
Corey Hawkins?
He was
The guy-
on
the guy
24,
who played
the
Easy
new
E,
season of
that's-
24.
Yeah.
He was in Walking Dead.
Yeah, but Corey Hawkins.
wow.
That means. Oh, but the guy who played. The guy played Easy E's in
Yeah.
the Superfly movie. That's what I just
Exactly.
watched the preview of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Easy E's in Superfly, and Dr. Dre is in BlacKkKlansman.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what I was mixing up.
You can't talk about Spike Lee without dropping a little beat because he always has some great music up in his.
Oh
films.
yeah. I always link up Spike Lee in my head with Chuck D, Public Enemy, because Do the Right Thing was so prominently like focused around, like that was the music that fueled that movie. Radio
Yeah.
Raheem walking around with the fight the power that be, fight the power.
Yeah. Nobody fights the power anymore.
Nobody fights it.
No,
people
the
fight the
problem
power
right
with
now
social media.
is
It's
that,
bullshit.
The
It's too
problem
easy.
right now is there's too many powers being fought, and they just don't have as much meaning. as
Well,
when there
but
was,
people are like fighting the power now with their like tweets. which to me is not
yeah,
really
it's kinda like
fighting
you're
a
a
shit.
hot-
And a rally is so easy. I don't know. It always seems too easy, so it's sort of like there's not as much fucking gusto put into it. Like before, when you had to get a rally together, march together, you couldn't just drop a fucking Facebook event.
Oh, yeah, no.
Now it's like, oh, yeah.
You don't want them to know.
oh,
You want to show up at
it'll be
DC and
Nick
with like
is
a million
interested in
people
going to
or
an
5
event
million
near you.
people.
Nick is interested in going to an event near you, and it's like, rally to save our lives and protect our future. And it's like,
if there's a rally that's been planned 6 months in advance, it's like, what's the impact going to be?
no,
Yeah.
but
You got to get like a grass movement, the fucking 10 million people
what about the
just
Million
to
Man
show up
March
and
in
be
the early
like,
'90s?
no.
Like that fucking shit. Like how did they even find out about that? There was like some TV stuff.
some
but,
email.
no email.
That was when you had.
1993?
That's when you had those like long emails.
Yeah,
What
right.
are they
Email
called?
chains or whatever.
That was phone call.
Yeah, no, literally, it's like
Door
phone
knocking.
calls, door knocking,
That's
flyers.
true. I
like,
actually, I was at
they
this
had a
lady's
Million Man
house and
March.
she was like over 100 years old, and all she did all day was like call for. She like helped like
For some
coordinate
organ-
events and
nonprofit.
stuff like
That
that. She would
is-
just call people.
Yeah.
That is the
Nonstop.
main problem with
Nonstop.
society today. Everything is a fucking click away.
that's true.
Everything's a fucking click away.
I don't know if it's a problem. It's
It
just
is a
how we.
fucking
It's how
problem.
we use it. It's a
It is-
problem.
no,
We're
I mean,
lazy.
It technically can be a problem.
Pros
because-
and cons, man. Pros
We're
and
lazy.
cons.
Yeah, there are pros and cons.
Yeah.
I think
We're just lazy about it. That's why it's a
that's
problem.
what
we
That's
no
the biggest
humanity.
problem.
Humans suck. It's not necessarily the technology that sucks. It's the humans that use it. I'm not exempt from this. I'm a piece of shit too, just like you.
Not me.
You're a total piece
No,
of shit,
not
Neil.
me. I'm the least piece of shit.
Neil, you're like a fucking. You're sucking up the life around you. You don't really do anything
need-
for society.
we need Spike
You're a
Lee
piece
to
of
come
shit.
up-
Remember that. Stay in your
power.
place.
we need a Spike Lee movie that's gonna fight
Wow.
the power again.
Yeah, fight the
It's
power.
called Fight the Twitter.
Fight the
Fight the
Twitter.
Twitter.
Fight the Twitter.
Oh my God.
Anyways,
All right, guys.
Yeah, so there's Spike Lee.
Although I will say the power of tweets, like one tweet can ruin a person's fucking life.
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
It has
100%.
already.
It
many
has.
True.
It
times.
has. Yeah.
As many
It
racists
has.
as have their
It has,
life
yeah.
ruined unjustly and unfairly. These racists need protection. No?
Why?
No, that's not what we're talking about.
This guy.
Fuck them
We got
racists.
Klansmen over
Thank
here.
you guys for thank you guys for joining us here at Get to the Podcast. I'm trying to cancel out right now. Just
You
before-
cut off my mic. Just cut off my
just
mic.
before Nick says something else. No, you guys. Yeah, if you haven't seen some of these movies, go watch them. They're incredible.
Spike Lee's
They're-
incredible. He really is a fantastic
He's such an
director.
artist
Yeah.
at what he does, and it's just the films are so engaging. They're so artistic.
He
they're
may
so
not be as consistent as he
colorful.
used to
They're-
be because he's not hungry anymore. He may not be as consistent as he used to be, but still, he's.
If you haven't seen Malcolm X, go see Malcolm
Yeah,
X.
I'm not going to
You
say
know.
anything before I see this.
Go see
new
Jungle
film.
Fever.
Black
Go
Klansman.
see-
Yeah, Jungle
Yeah.
Fever, Do the Right Thing.
Go see
She's
some
got
of
to
these
have
films.
it on
They're just
Netflix, I believe, right now. If it's not on Netflix, it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But check
Inside
these films
Man.
out.
Great
Inside
movie.
Man.
Inside
Go
Man,
check these
very
films
good.
out. So
More commercial.
thank you guys
Yeah.
for joining us here at Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. My name is Tiago D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
Jesus.
Take your time. Just take
wow.
your time.
Just
Just
take
your fucking time.
Why don't you smoke
Okay?
a
That was
cigarette
like
before you drop your
hold
name?
on, hold on.
Were you tweeting?
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.